Weiss from Global Water Group in Dallas, Texas. We're going to show you some of our equipment today, but before we begin, we're going to talk a little bit about Water 101, how you really purify water. The basics of purifying water are the basics of all of Global's equipment, whether it's freshwater purification, desalinization, or wastewater recycling equipment. There are only three things that you need to do to purify water. One is you have to remove parasites. Two is you have to remove hazardous chemicals. And three, you've got to kill bacteria and viruses. Most systems in the world don't do any of those. Municipal systems do one half of one, and we'll see why that's a problem. In global systems, we're going to find that we do all three of those principles of purifying water in every piece of equipment that we manufacture. The first thing you have to do is remove parasites. That's filtration. To do that, to remove parasites like Giardia and Cryptosporidium, you have to filter to 1 micron. All of global systems filter to 1 micron. The second thing you have to do is remove hazardous chemicals. And this is not through filtration. This is through absorption and adsorption, where you grab and hold the hazardous chemical. Global has a proprietary media formula that will hold the hazardous chemicals better than any systems in the world, which is why we can say that we have the best water purification system in the world. No one has the formula that we have to remove hazardous chemicals. The third thing is to kill bacteria and viruses. For this, the world uses chlorine. Unfortunately, chlorine in water that's not been cleaned creates carcinogens. So while it keeps you from getting sick today when you drink the water, it still kills you in the long run with cancer. Global uses ultraviolet. There are other ways that we can use processes to kill bacteria and viruses, such as ozone or iodine, but for the most part, most of our systems will use ultraviolet. At that point, you have perfect water. If you are going to hold water in a storage tank, or if you're going to distribute it over a widespread area, you need to have some chlorine in the water to keep bacteria from growing. Air, water create bacteria. So we put some chlorine in the water when we are going to store it. But at that point, we've already purified and cleaned the water, so there's no chance of carcinogens. Now you will see as we get into any of our equipment how we use all three principles. This is our global backpack system, SP3. In this system, you will see three housings. In the three housings, you're going to be first filtering to 1 micron to remove parasites. You're going to have our proprietary formula to remove hazardous chemicals. And then you're going to have ultraviolet to kill bacteria and viruses. And in any system, no matter how big or small that we make it, we'll always have those principles. For you to see what's in there, it's a very simple filter that would be inside the first housing, which will be down to 1 micron to remove parasites. In the second housing, we will have our formula to adsorb and absorb and grab and hold your hazardous chemicals. In the third housing will be an ultraviolet lamp, which is in the middle of this, which is also encased in a carbon block. In these replacement tubes, you're going to see a quartz sleeve and a UV bulb, a lamp. Those will be changed after certain periods of time. The maintenance in the unit will be primarily the replacement of the 1 micron filter, because that's what would get clogged. There is a pre-screener on the input hose, but you will have a 1 micron filter which will capture everything down to 1 micron. So that is what would need changing when the system gets clogged and slows down. And the system almost tells you that automatically. With regard to the formula for removal of hazardous chemicals, in the average use of a backpack and your principle of using it when you're out in the field, that formula would probably never be changed. It is usually geared to be changed once a year in our average system, but that's assuming you're running almost 24/7. With a backpack, you're going to be out in the field and you're only going to be using it an hour or so a day, or maybe more, but the lifespan of the formula would last quite a long period of time. The UV bulb is rated for 9,000 hours, which is 1 year if you ran 24/7. Again, if you're not running that often, you're not going to change the UV bulb but every few years. Now, every time you turn it on and off, it uses up a certain period of time. So the more you turn it on and off, the faster it will wear itself out. So you might be changing this bulb every 2 years, every 3 years. Sometimes with U.S. Special Forces, we have found that with use of the equipment in the field over a 5-year period, they may not have ever changed the bulb or the media housing, just the 1 micron filter.